A very good afternoon to you and welcome to CoreTV News on the Hour. I'm your host, Emmanuel Ajayi. Today, Nigerians mark the 22nd anniversary of June 12, 1993 presidential elections. The result was a presumed victory of Moshood Kashimawo Abiola of the Social Democratic Party, who defeated Bashir Tofa of the National Republican Convention. However, the election was later annulled by military ruler Ibrahim Babangida, leading to a crisis that ended Sani Abacha heading coup later in the year. President Muhammadu Buhari wants Nigeria to remain in charge of the multinational joint task force until the end of war against insurgency. Buhari made this appeal at an extraordinary meeting of the head of state and government of Lake Chad Basin Commission held at the presidential wing of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Power Samuel has more in this report.
The heads of government meeting is the climax of days of interaction by defense chiefs from the member countries. President Buhari was on hand to personally receive his counterparts at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja. Present in Abuja were the presidents of Chad, Benin and Niger, while Cameroon's Paul Biya was represented by his defense minister, Edgar Lungo. In his opening remarks at the extraordinary meeting, President Buhari appreciated member countries of the Commission for identifying with Nigeria in its bid to tackle insurgency, especially in the northeast. He thereafter proceeded to appeal with the leaders to allow Nigeria retain the position of the first commander of the MNJTF throughout the period of the war against insurgency.
I am, however, President Muhammadu Buhari that military operations that are subjected to a rapid turnover of command and control structures, 6 months duration, as it is being proposed in the document before us, do not augur well for effectiveness and efficiency. Such a process will undermine, even if it is not intended, the military capacity to sustain the push against the insurgents, who also have the uncanny ability to adapt and rejig their operational strategies.
To ensure the fight against insurgents is sustained among member states, Buhari promised to redeem the pledge of $100 million made by the Jonathan administration for the smooth takeoff of the MNJTF.
Permit me at this juncture to recall that Nigeria has already pledged the sum of $100 million United States dollars for the smooth takeoff of the MNJTF. I hereby assure you that my government will keep faith with this promise. Notwithstanding this pledge by my government, funding still remains a major issue of this campaign. I had raised this issue at my meeting with the G7 leaders. While I am encouraged by their support, I also urge you to garner the support of your international friends and partners to sustain this campaign.
Earlier, the Executive Secretary of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, Sanusi Abdullahi, had noted that the key challenge is to raise funds to sustain the fight against insurgency. But he is confident that member states will rally round to ensure that funding will not hinder military operations.
The key challenge now is the funding, is to find funds to finance and sustain the ongoing war on terror to the finish, and at the same time implement necessary infrastructure for sustainable socio-economic.
Buhari had earlier in his inaugural address on 29 May 2015 affirmed his willingness to end insurgency. Power Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday said he has directed the nation's service chiefs to produce a list of logistics needed by the militaries to successfully execute the war against Boko Haram threat. Buhari disclosed this while speaking with journalists at the end of the extraordinary summit of head of state and government of Lake Chad Basin Commission and Benin at the presidential wing of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. He said that the leaders of G7 requested the list during his recent meeting with them in Germany. He added the base of the request, he has informed his colleagues in the commission to also prepare their country's list for the same purpose. The Chief of Army Staff, Kenneth Minima, on Thursday paid an operational and moral-boosting visit to the troops on frontline fighting against Boko Haram terrorists in Borno and Adamawa State. During the visit, he addressed and encouraged the troops of 7 Division Strike Group of 127 Special Force Battalion that comprise of Army Forces and Nigerian Army Special Forces located in Polka, 26 Task Force Brigade in Gwaza, 28 Task Force Brigade, and 174 Battalion in Mubi. A statement by Acting Director, Army Public Relations Officer Sami Usman said in Polka that the Commander DSG and other commanding officers of 121 Special Force Battalion are offered to in their respective commands. It says that he commends them for their performances and thereafter addressed the troops, thanking them for their courage and bravery, which turned the tides against Boko Haram terrorists. Despite raiding the support of People's Democratic Party to become the Senate President of the 8th National Assembly, he will rather turn his take to place. Despite riding on the support of People's Democratic Party lawmakers to become the President of the 8th National Assembly, Bukola Saraki says he will not return to his former party at the aftermath of the progressive unfavorable disposition of the office. He also describes President Muhammadu Buhari's reactions on Tuesday elections of the National Assembly leaders of great remarks of the leadership. In a statement by his media office, Saraki commended Buhari for remaining steadfast in its commitment to the principle of non-interference of National Assembly politics, even in the face of great pleasure on him. He stated his commitment to the All Progressive Congress, saying he remains loyal and a leading member of the party who is committed to contributing his quota to the building of the party and helping to deliver his promise to change the Nigerian people. The national leader of All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, says he cannot recognize the emergence of Bukola Saraki as Senate President. Tinubu, who was speaking at the National Party headquarters, said the emergence of Bukola Saraki as Senate President is a kangaroo arrangement. The APC leader asked newsmen how he should recognize Saraki as Senate President after he had defied his own party and put his personal interest above all interests. He added in recognizing Saraki will amount to endorsing impunity and will be against all what he has worked for. He added that the former Kwara governor must show remorse for his action, putting personal interest ahead of group interest. He added that though he is not God, but he cannot endorse what is not good for the party. Meanwhile, senators in support of Ahmed Lawan's bid for Senate presidency on Thursday met with the leadership of All Progressive Congress at the party secretariat. The meeting, which lasted about 35 minutes, was held behind closed doors, and afterward, no party members of Unity Forum was willing to speak with the media aides. The party, however, insists that it is not taking a final decision on whether to mount a legal challenge to Bukola Saraki emergence as Senate President.
Senators came to confer with the party leadership, and that's all I'm allowed to say.
Confer on what?
You see, they are our senators. They have the right to confer with the party leadership. They came to confer on the crisis in the National Assembly today.
Okay. So what's the way forward, sir? Now
we will let you know.
We'll now take a break and we're back with more. Do join us again.
That's a sign of protest, saying that things are not good.
Women share the most amazing thoughts.
When it's close to the time, our people will protest
on national issues.
That was their own point.
That was an accident. That is different.
And to do it
politics is about being a servant.
Passionately.
Without a woman, there will be no success at all.
Sharing the adorable word of women.
There are some women who have what it takes.
In politics.
Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady. Where she's too soft, she's too soft.
Only on CoreTV News.
And for more of our news and other stories, do visit us on facebook.com/CoreTV News and on Twitter, CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV News. Leave a space, the news. Despite the arrest of three suspected mastermind of kidnapping at gripped Ekiti State recently, the case of abduction is back again on the front burner, with Reverend Father Emmanuel Akingbade, the latest victim. Akingbade, the parish priest of St. Benedict's Catholic Church in Ido, Ekiti, or local government area of the state, was kidnapped in his residence, but the police says efforts are on him to rescue him. Rashid has more in this report.
This is a protest from the people of Ido Ekiti to show that the huge sigh of relief let out by the Ekiti state residents over the arrest of kidnapped masterminds was, to say the least, premature. This is the same place where it all began with Margaret Aladenika, but this time it's Emmanuel Akingbade, a Catholic priest. He was kidnapped right in his bedroom, according to this eyewitness.
They put a shotgun on my head that I should shut up. I should not shout and I should not say anything. If I say anything, if I shout, they bomb me down. They used that gun to lead me to the father's room. They took father's laptop, handset, everything. After they finished that operation, they told the father that he should stand up and wear any clothes that is like. That is, father is follow them outside now.
With the parishioners now thrown into mourning, the monarch of Ido Ekiti and the State Catholic Convention are lamenting the renewed upsurge in cases of kidnapping, even as they await communication from the kidnappers.
This is not the first time. About a month ago, these people struck here, and nobody did anything to help anybody.
Those who abducted him, they've not made any contact with us, so the police are waiting. They've taken the statement of those they met at the mission house.
The Ekiti State Police Command confirms the incident, but also added that efforts are on to rescue him from his abductors.
Catholic father was kidnapped at Ido. We're making frantic efforts to make sure we get him back safe and sound.
The Ekiti State government has, however, placed a bounty of 2 million naira on the kidnappers, while also directing the police to commence a statewide stop and search operation immediately. But the police also asked the state government to put laws in place to stop kidnappers.
I'm sure it's because they find out that no such law exists here. That's why they're thinking they can have a field day. But if you have such laws on ground, it will deter a lot of them.
While the government places a bounty on the kidnappers and the police commence the serious business of finding them and rescuing their victims, the anxiety level in the state will meanwhile remain unread. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ido Ekiti.
The governor of Plateau State, Simeon Lanlong, has sacked all political appointees of this administration of former governor Jonah Jang, according to a statement signed by the Secretary of the State, Rufus Babature. All chief executive chairmen and members of commission board and parastatals whose appointments are political in nature except 10 statutory boards have been sacked. According to the statement by the Director of Press and Public Affairs, Samuel Nonel, Landlord directed all affected appointees to hand over all affairs of the agency, including government properties, in their possession immediately to the most senior officers in the establishment. The Rivers State Governorship Elections Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja has declined the request by All Progressive Congress to inspect sensitive materials used by the Independent National Electoral Commission for the election in the state. Peter Dakoko, who contested under the APC in the April 11 election, is challenging the victory of Governor Innocent Wike on the grounds of irregularities and massive rigging. The petitioner, through the counsel, Olumide Olujimi, asked the court to allow him to invite forensic experts to inspect the paper ballot, incident forms, computers, and other materials used by INEC for the election. But the three-man panel, led by Justice Moazu Pinga, struck out the application on the use of forensic experts to inspect the elections materials. Now the report.
Was just a motion taking ex parte. That is a motion that can be taken in the absence of the other side. We took that motion today. It is for the inspection of documents and other materials which INEC used in the conduct of the election in Rivers State for the gubernatorial elections. The court granted us 3 legs of our prayer for the inspection of the documents. but it is the part where the experts of the petitioner would have to test the card readers, the computers, and other electronic devices used for the election. That is the one which the tribunal struck out.
The Plateau State House of Assembly has elected Peter Atan Agzi of the All Progressive Congress as a speaker at a rescheduled election following fourth stage earlier. The emergence of Agzi followed the stepping down of Stephanos Narsat of the People's Democratic Party with the decision of Narsat to step down. The House then endorsed Agzi as a speaker of the 8th Assembly. Our Plateau State correspondent has more in this report.
Peter Atangazi emerged speaker after his opponent from the People's Democratic Party for the position is Stephanos Narsat step down. PDP's Abubakar Babayo Gagdi also emerged as the deputy speaker. This was after he had defeated Amos Konto, also of the PDP. Gagdi polled 13 votes while Konto mustered 10. Agzi and his deputy were thereafter sworn in by the clerk of the House, Ayuba Gongo.
You solemnly affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the
do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as Deputy Speaker of Plateau State House of Assembly, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law.
The Speaker later inaugurated the remaining 23 other members of the Assembly to effectively kickstart the 8th Assembly's legislative tenure. Speaking to newsmen after adjournment of proceedings, once he said to step down for democracy in action and in the overall interest of the state. He said his action is to allow for a smooth running of government in Plateau State.
That was democracy in action. Yeah, no, democracy in action is when you told the path of smooth movement. I think that's the best. This is a new government coming in place, and we feel that we owe it a responsibility to start on a very smooth and clean note by agreeing with ourselves. We are going to be working as a house for the next 4 years, so the starting point is also very important. It will lead us into the future. So I think what I did was in the best interest of the house, the system, and of course the government.
The House has since adjourned proceedings to reconvene at a yet-to-be-announced date.
The people of Idiato North local government's home of Governor Rochas Okorocha says the victory in the just concluded 2015 general elections and the subsequent swearing of the governor at a second time means a lot to them. They say the governor will be celebrated by them for bringing honor to his people for his performance so far. Ajibade Awofesa, who attended the press briefing by the Idiato Nations, were filing this report.
Speaking on behalf of the Coalition of Idiato Nation, which is an organization to ensure the development and well-being of the people of Idiato, Emmanuel Ezewonyewu, chairman of the Coalition of Idiato Nation, says the governor deserves any honor given him by his people.
That in the history of this state, Rochas Anayo Chukwu Okorocha is the best governor this state. From the zone to Kigwe zone to Were zone. In terms of infrastructure, in the history of this nation, you can count how many states that have free education. This is the flagship of this administration. In the areas of infrastructure, this state have built more roads than any other government that have built roads this state.
For John Paul Uchemba, Rochas Okorocha deserves to be celebrated for his track records.
Never expected. Maybe he was still about 2-3 years ago. But there is different this one we are doing now. I want to let him know that Idato is solidly behind him. We are behind him. We are behind him. We still behind him. Whenever, whatever, at any time.
They all call on the people of Imo State to join them in celebrating the governor at the Holy Trinity Catholic Parish, Oboko Idiato South. Ajibade Awofeso, CoreTV News, Owerri.
We'll take a break now and be back with more. Do join us again.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
China's security chief Zhou Yongchang has been jailed for life for the most senior politicians to face corruption charges under colonialist rule. He was found guilty of bribery, abuse of power, and internationally disclosing national security. Chang official news agency reports until his retirement in 2012. Zhou Yongchang was one of the most powerful men. He was put under investigation 1 year later as part of President Xi Jinping's major corruption campaign. He was put under, and that's it on CoreTV News on this hour. Do join us again.